Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2015 Subaru Forester, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the etrailer.com Class 3 trailer hitch receiver. So right off the bat, there's a couple of things I noticed about the hitch. The first one being how it's going to look. So even though for the most part it is completely visible, in my opinion, I kind of think it complements that adventurous look that the Subaru has. A lot of these Subarus do actually look better with accessories on them, at least in my opinion. Second thing I noticed is that it's going to give some pretty good clearance. So what I mean by that is the end of the receiver tube here is going to be just about even, maybe back a little bit from our bumper. And so that should work out really well for those folding accessories, things like bike racks or even cargo carriers. So a lot of our Forester customers plan on using their hitch to do a little bit of everything. So you're definitely going to want one that is up to the task. And in my opinion, this one definitely is. It's going to be a Class 3 hitch. So it's going to have that 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, which is a super common size, and you're going to be able to use just about any type of accessory that you would want to. It's going to have a reinforced collar for extra strength, and it's also going to have that standard 5/8 pinhole. Now keep in mind, a pin and clip does not come included, but if you need one, you can find it here at eTrailer. One thing I do really like is the safety chain openings. They're tucked back a little bit, and so you're not going to have to worry about interfering with your pin and clip, and the openings are really large. So you should be able to use just about any size hook that you might have without any issues. Now as far as the hitch's weight capacities go, it's going to have some pretty high numbers. The maximum gross tongue weight rating is going to be 525 pounds. And so that's going to be the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. So you shouldn't really have any issues using just about whatever size bike rack or cargo carrier that you might have. As far as the hitch's maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, it's going to be 3,500 pounds. That's going to be the amount of weight pulling on the hitch. So that is the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have on it. Now, I do always suggest it's never a bad idea to check with your Subaru's owner's manual to make sure your Forester can pull that much weight safely. Now let's go ahead and take a couple of measurements. That way we can figure out what accessories will work best. We go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening. That's going to be right at 14.5 inches. So chances are pretty good. If you do plan on doing a little bit of towing, you're going to need to get a ball mount with a rise. If we go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the very edge of our bumper here, it looks like it's going to be about 4.5 inches. And you can use that measurement to figure out if any of those folding accessories will indeed be able to fold up into that stored position without contacting the bumper. Now, I will say, if you do plan on doing a little bit of towing, I would suggest picking up some trailer wiring. That way the lights on your trailer will match up with the lights on your Forester, and you'll be safe and legal. So at the end of the day, a hitch you really can't go wrong with. Not only is it going to complement the looks of your Subaru, but it's going to be able to handle just about anything you want to throw at it. Now as far as the installation goes, it's really not too bad. Everything's pretty easy to get to and shouldn't take you a whole lot of time. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and do that together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be underneath the back of our Forester, and we're going to need to lower the exhaust to give us some more room to work. So before we do that, what I like to do is take a strap and just run that strap from side to side. That way when we do lower the exhaust, we'll have a little bit of control on how far and fast we let it down. So to lower the exhaust, we're going to have 2 rubber exhaust hangers on each side of our muffler. One of them will be right here, and it helps to spray it down with some soapy water, some lubricant or something like that. And we can take a pry bar or a big flathead screwdriver, and we're just going to pry that rubber portion off of the metal hanger. Then if you kind of come to this side of our muffler, that other one will be right here. And so I'll do that same thing to get that one off as well. Then if we follow our tailpipe towards the front of our Subaru, we're going to have one more hanger. We'll do the same thing with it. And once we have it freed, we can loosen up our strap a little bit and that'll give us that room that we need. With our exhaust lowered, we can now remove our heat shield here. That's going to be held in place with 4 10mm bolts. So we're going to have one at each corner of our heat shield. We can just slide it down and set it to the side for now. Now if we move over to our frame rail, we're going to have 4 rubber plugs that we need to remove. So you can just take a flathead screwdriver and kind of pry under them and pop them out. Now I want to mention, from this point on, anything we do to this side of our Forester, we're also going to repeat on the other side because it'll be set up the exact same way. Now what we can do is come to this hole in our frame rail, and we're going to need to enlarge it a little bit. That way we can fit our hardware inside. So as you can see, our spacer block is too large to go in, as well as the head of our bolt. So we just want to make this just big enough that we can easily pass that hardware through. So the way I'm going to do that is by using a step-style drill bit. However, you could always use a Dremel tool or a hand file, something like that, to get it big enough. So it looks like I need to go just a little bit bigger, that way our bolt can easily go through there. So now that we verified our hardware can fit through the hole, it is a good idea to take a little bit of spray paint or something like that and shoot it on there just to cover up that bare metal and protect it from any rust or corrosion. Now that we gave the paint here a few minutes to dry, we can get our hardware in place. So our attachment points are going to be these 3 holes on each one of our frame rails. So again, they're set up the same on each side. We'll be using the same hardware for each side and so on. But with that being said, the way we're going to get our hardware in is by using a fish wire. So we're going to take the coiled end of the fish wire, put it in this hole closest to the back of our Forester, push it forward, and we're trying to get it to drop out of this hole that we enlarged. Sometimes it'll come right out. Other times you may need to kind of reach in there and guide it out. So once we have it out, we're going to take a spacer block, put that over the fish wire, and a carriage bolt will thread onto the fish wire. So once you have it connected like that, you're going to take that spacer block, feed it up inside of the frame rail. Same thing with the bolt. And you're able to pull on the other end and get it to drop down just like that. So I'm going to repeat and use that same technique for these other 2 holes here. Now with an extra set of hands, we can raise our hitch into position. So you're going to want to take the pull wires and run through the corresponding holes in the hitch. Once you have them through, you can raise it up. You get your bolts to pass through. Can remove the fish wires and put on your flange nuts. Now I suggest getting at least 1 nut started hand-tied on each side. That way the hitch will support itself. If you're having trouble getting it started, you can always take your hand and kind of put a little side pressure on that bolt. That'll keep it steady so you can get that nut ready. Now that I have the hitch supported, I can go ahead and take off all the remaining pull wires and get our hex nuts started. Once you have all of them started, we can come back with the socket and snug everything down. Now we can come back with a torque wrench and tighten all of our hardware down to the amount specified in the instructions. With our hitch torqued down, we can lift our exhaust back up and put the hangers back on. So again, you want to spray these down, and this time you can kind of just use your hands to guide everything back together. Now that it's re-secured, we can go ahead and remove our strap. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the etrailer.com Class 3 trailer hitch receiver on our 2015 Subaru Forester.